Hey, Natasha here. In this video, we are going to uncover how two entrepreneurs can implement the same strategies and get completely different results. And this may not be what you think. And as business owners, we're always looking for, the next best strategy, things that are going to help build and expand our businesses. And really, in reality, the key is not necessarily the strategy, it's you. So if you like my content, I invite you to like, subscribe, comment, check out my Fear Chronicles podcast, which is all things mindset and private practice. And so I want to share with you when I had my private practice, I was doing all of the things and always saw myself as a doer. And I would discover a new strategy and I would immediately figure out how to essentially copy and paste it and implement it into my business. And before I knew it, I essentially piecemealed all these different things together with lackluster ROI. And I would look around and compare again with other entrepreneurs because I literally copy and pasted what they did and could not understand why they had the results that they had and I didn't. So what I'm going to share today is that you only need 5%. And this is incomplete. What I mean by is you only need 5%. Hopefully you can read this. Oops. 5% strategy. What about the other 95%, you may ask? Really, when it comes down to entrepreneurship, private practice, doing things and expanding and investing in yourself, it is 95% mindset and 5% strategy. Strategy does play a part. Do not get me wrong. However, it's about your energy and your mindset when implementing these strategies is key. So if I go back to when I was piecemealing things together, I was in a mindset of lack and a little bit of scarcity and kind of the pushing and the forcing and making things work. And that is how I implemented these strategies. And that is how I was not getting the same results as other people who were doing literally the exact same thing. So I want you to ask yourself, when I am working in or on my business, who am I being? And what is my energy when I am doing these things in my business? Did I, and I've talked about this before, did I check in with myself for my energy before I executed blank, whatever the task was that didn't turn out the way you wanted it to? Ask yourself these things as we dive in. So I did a combo this time. So I've got my stick figure off to the side. As you can see, I've got little arrows here. We're going to get to those in a second. And then I've got my little checklist here. I don't actually check these during my videos, but you get the idea. This helps me just to stay on task because I like to go off on tangents and talk about things. So it's more to keep me organized and on my talking points here. So with my stick figure here, it takes us to our energy, which I kind of alluded to already. What I want you to do is I want you to think about, when we talk about kind of that low, so this is your frequency. Obviously, this is the high, and this is low. So when we are executing, planning, doing the actual things in our business, checking in with our energy, and this comes in with strategy work as well. When we're searching for strategies, are we forcing strategies? Are we going, oh my gosh, my business is in the red. I need something. I got to have something. I got to do this now. Like coming from a place of it's just things aren't happening. Those things tend to be in the lower frequencies, whereas in the higher frequencies, we're looking to expand. We're looking to add on, supplement, grow. There's different energy levels there. So checking in where we're doing these things. Now, the other piece, when it comes to even the day-to-day in our business, those operations also matter the most because they're day-to-day. So when we think about our energy, we can also think of this from the beginning of our day to the end of our day. And likely what a lot of us are not doing is planning according to our energy. So this is huge. This is key because when we make decisions, are we making decisions at, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night when we're tired and we've made decisions all day and we've done all the things and we are tired? Decisions that we likely make late in the day versus at your optimal time of the day are huge, and you likely may not make the same decision. So you also have to be looking at, when are you strategizing according to your energy, in what frequency or energy you are implementing these strategies, and when you are making decisions. And so when it comes to day-to-day operations, what I want you to think of when we plan, and I talk about this a lot in different planning workshops, is adjusting your blocks and when you plan or when you treat or when you do admin according to the level of your energy, because we all have different, parts of the day where we are at our best. And then when we're at our best, that is when we should be doing some of the stuff that takes more of that cognitive load, decision making, focused work, not necessarily admin when we talk about working in versus on your business. When you're working on your business, that should be kind of a more of that optimal time. When you're working in your business, it kind of just depends where you ideally like to work, if that is your optimal level, or if you can work at it at, I don't want to say half capacity, but kind of like when you're on the lower end of that, where you don't need your peak performance, but you're still really good for the day. And there's a whole nother, I'll make a whole nother episode on that, but checking in with your energy. And that comes with your strategy, how you implement, and all of the things in your day-to-day. Now, next is your mindset, which is essentially what this entire video is about. So when I say it's 95% mindset and only 5% strategy, your mindset is everything. It dictates how you do things. It dictates what you do. It dictates what you think the outcome is going to be. So that always will go back to your thoughts and what you are embodying. So it goes back to that theory of, be, do, and have that I talked about in a previous video, right? So actually, let me use a different color. Okay. So the concept of be, do, and have, right? When we think about mindset, we think about who are we being, right? We want to embody that successful CEO identity, that mindset shift that we've talked about before. And then once you are being and embodying, then it is the doing, right? Then identity. So identity is where, when we build up and we repeat things and we're doing things and we are keeping our words to ourselves, the promises and the commitments to ourselves, that builds self-trust and self-belief. So that is the other piece. So trust, I'm not going to write everything out. We build self-trust, which with repetition builds self-belief, which then you believe and you know that what you do, what you produce, what you execute will in fact be successful. So when you are doing something new and you are unsure, because again, that's your energy, you're not really sure, and you're going, oh, I don't know, or is this really going to work, or is this, that is when, again, that energy transference onto the thing, which is a lot of times what I used to do in the past. And I'd be like, yeah, I hope for the best, and kind of, whiff it on its way. Well, it fell flat. Strategy after strategy fell flat because I didn't believe that it would work. I didn't trust in myself that it would work. And I didn't believe on some level that I was going to be successful, especially with whatever strategy it was, right? So that all fed back to me. And these strategies didn't work because of me, not because the strategy didn't work. So again, circling back to the beginning and make this come full circle, how two different people can do literally the exact same thing in the exact same business and have two completely different results. And you could even further expand that which I won't in this video, but into different areas of life, right? It comes down to your energy, your mindset, how you identify with yourself and believe and trust in yourself, which is built through repetition, that you do the things you say you're going to do, and you do know that you're successful and you can do the things, and you know that you're going to do it through aligned action. Action, the thing. So this is the alignment that I talk about a lot. What I'm going to say about this is when we are energetically aligned and our mindset, we're solid on who we're being, what we're doing in order to get the results, the desire, the having, is where the aligned action comes in. Okay. So that is what that means. You are at your peak performance, making decisions in your optimal energy level. And then you are then executing, doing the actions in the energetic match. You want to be aligned with your energy, your thoughts, your emotions, your frequency, all of this. So this is, again, strategies, decisions. Those are all the things that are going to expand your business, the things that are going to make those exponential results happen are all in alignment. And that is what aligned action truly means. For those of you that might have been a little bit fuzzy about why am I talking about what I'm talking about, that's what I mean. Everything is in alignment. When that energy transfers on whatever it is that you're doing, that strategy you're implementing, that decision that you're making that's going to change your business, and that vision that you have, that is going to make the result. That is peak performance aligned action equals results, which again is your energy, peak performance, and execution. That is aligned action. Okay, so that is how you only need 5% strategy. So thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, comment below, and then I will see you in my next video.